everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in the corner who's masked his identity, but now he's about to unveil it. Who are you, sir?
I don't know if I want to reveal the mask just yet. No, this is Jason Charles Miller. How are you?
I am very good, and I'm so happy to have you on the show today. We were very excited about it, and I know the listeners are as well.
Good. Well, I'm happy to be here. Speak to
Now,
two people.
before we get to, into what's happening now, what's the current trends, I wanted to take like a DeLorean and time travel back into the past because you're not
Okay.
simply an actor, you're also a musician, but I kind of wanted to know what came first.
That's tough. Because I actually started doing theater at the age of 5, and I also started singing in front of crowds at the age of 5. So I guess it kind of came at the same time. Although um, once I reached early adulthood, I kind of threw acting aside for a while to primarily be a musician, and I ended up having a good amount of success with that. And then when I relocated to Los Angeles about 10 years ago, I decided to, sort of pick the acting back up in earnest in between tours and things like that.
Well, with acting, I would expect, being in Hollywood, that it just seemed more natural to do that in comparison to music.
Well, I moved out here for music. Actually, what moved me out here was my band Godhead was signed to a record label that was headed up by Marilyn Manson. And so everyone that we were working with musically lived out here. So we relocated from Virginia near the Washington D.C. area and moved out here. But then once I got out here, yeah, it's almost like it's a product of your environment. I started. We all actually started doing music for commercials, and then I started singing on a few commercials, just kind of as a way to make extra money. And then that actually is what really sparked the voice acting bug in particular. Because being a traveling musician, a touring musician, a lot of times your time is pretty limited. So voice acting jobs tend to not take up as much time because you don't have a set to go to. You just go to a studio. So your sessions tend to be shorter, and they're just not as time consuming. So I really started focusing on that in my off time from traveling as a musician.
Now, obviously, when you first get into voiceover, especially with anime, it's kind of a new world because you have to dub over the original material. Did you find that difficult?
I did it first. Yeah, the timing can be a little bit difficult. And although when I first started doing it, it wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. I don't want to say it's easier now because that would be giving people that are doing it now or just getting into it now a disservice. But it might be a little bit easier for the engineers or the directors now because it's just easier to move a line, 3/10 of a second back and forth, or stretch it or smush it a little bit to fit the the lip flap, as they call it. Whereas when I first started doing it, you had to be like dead on, and if you made too many mistakes, you wouldn't get hired again. So it was probably a little more nerve wracking at first for several reasons.
Well, it's funny because I hear so much nowadays. It's like, well, we have Pro Tools, we can just move it or shrink it or whatever we want with it.
Right.
Now, I have to wonder, do you ever get a little bit too focused on maybe the Japanese voices, how they might sound, and like, do I have to take that into consideration, or maybe I should just do my own thing? Like, is that ever a conflict?
You know what? What's good is usually they'll play me back my audition. I have the advantage, I guess. I have a pretty wide range singing, and so I've been able to apply that to acting. And so they'll play me my audition, and most of the time they'll be like, they cast you because they want you to embody the guy that you did at your audition for this character. So I listen to the Japanese, of course, before I record my line, more for timing and for overall emotion than I do to try to match the tone of it.
I mean, it's funny you hear kind of different things with the different shows. Like they're really trying to keep it very on point with the Japanese performance, and for others, they're trying to make it more accessible for Western audiences. So it's interesting to hear it from the voice actor's point of view, because I mean, you guys are the people bringing the characters to life for a new audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on who's producing it. It depends on which company is producing it, and then how much leeway that particular director may have in the direction that he's been given by the company. So I have done some where it's very similar, and then I've had other ones where we've had more leeway. So kind of a mixed bag.
That's true. Now, in terms of video games, you're in like the perfect place. It seems like it's just exploded for video games in the past 5 to 10 years. Have you noticed that trend yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's an industry that voice acting in video games is a brand new industry in the sense that voiceover has existed for almost as long as film and television have existed, but voiceover for video games is brand new in the scheme of things, and it's definitely something that I work a lot in, and I probably work more in video games now than I do in anime, and that might be partially because there's more video game work than there are anime work, but or it might just be that I'm more suited or more experienced now in video games. I don't know, but
Well, I
it's definitely something that has taken sort of the driver's seat as far as voiceovers go for me.
Well, I think that anime is more spread out than video games because with video games, it seems like the central hub is at Los Angeles from a fan's point of view. But anime can be in Dallas, it can be in Vancouver, it can be in New York, and it can also be in California. So
You're
it's
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's another sort of product of your environment because there were a couple of huge companies that were located in Los Angeles that aren't anymore. And now I would really say the central hub for anime is Dallas because there's so much going on there.
definitely. Now, kind of a funny thing, we were talking about this a little bit before we went on, but Capcom just came out with a new press release that had new footage from Street Fighter Cross Tekken for the Vita, and you're like, I think I'm in that. And yeah, a guy actually makes an appearance in that, so kind of weird coincidence.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool that you just posted that. I remember recording that, and because I'm Guy in Super Street Fighter 4, and I'm also in Street Fighter versus Tekken. But the problem was is that Guy came up later, so I wasn't allowed to tell anyone that Guy was going to come back. Although if Guy was going to come back, it was going to be me. But yeah, I kind of had to keep my mouth shut about that one.
Yeah, those lovely NDAs with the sniper rifles positioned outside your window.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that must be an interesting experience because that's a huge franchise. Like it has such enthusiastic fans. That must be kind of a sort of whoa moment. Like I'm a part of that.
It definitely is, especially because I used to play Street Fighter 2, the stand-up video game, in college. I remember I went to George Mason University, and there was like a little video game room, like I don't know, in one of the student union buildings or anything. And I just remember like waiting in line to play that game. And there was always like a group of dudes that were there that were complete experts. So you would pay your 50 cents and then just get your ass kicked and then have to wait again to play. But so yeah, it's fun to be a part of that franchise.
Well, here's the important question. Are you decent with playing Guy in the current video game? Or are you horrible?
I am now actually because a friend of mine, KG Tang, did did a thing where like he had a lot of the voice actors come and play, like a lot of the voice actors who were in uh, Super Street Fighter 4. We all gathered and played each other. So I got good. I got good at that. And
That's like his new thing. He like records those and puts those up on YouTube now.
yeah, it's fun.
Well, it's definitely interesting to see you guys play it because as fans, some of us might be approaching it for the first time and we might be horrible at it. So if you guys are also horrible, it makes some of us feel better.
Yeah, most of us were horrible. Don't worry. Most of us were horrible. Well, it's like, all of us were working in so many different fields, and, a lot of us are just too busy to play video games. I used to have a really big World of Warcraft addiction. And then, I'm a bunch of villains in World of Warcraft, so I had fun, like, going and killing myself. And that was fun. But I played the game way too much, so moderation, people, moderation.
Yeah, you can easily get burnt out on a very good video game if you play it a little bit too long. I'm feeling that way with Plants vs. Zombies. Not as hardcore as World of Warcraft, but still, I never want to
But up
see a
there.
plant and a zombie ever again. But I think that's a good chance for us to take a break here on 91.8 The Fan, but don't go anywhere because our special guest isn't, so keep it tuned to your favorite station where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Howdy, everybody out there! You're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. Who else would you be tuned into? I mean, come on. Anyway, my special guest is still here and alive. At least I hope you are. Are you alive?
Last time I checked.
Okay, good. I didn't hurt him. See? I'm a
Yeah.
nice person. Yes. But now, one thing I know we originally had an interview scheduled before, and it was like perfect timing because it was when your latest album came out. So
The
now that
day it
it's,
came out.
yes, I believe it was July 4th, correct?
Hmm.
Yeah, so
It was
now
almost too perfect.
it was because it didn't happen. But now it's
Exactly.
happening. And now I want you to tell us about your new album for the masses out there.
It's actually better that it happened because this week I have a brand new album out called Natural Born Killer, and it's actually featured on iTunes this week, which is cool. So if you open up your iTunes software and you open up the store, it's actually one of those new releases scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And then if you click on the country section, don't be afraid. Click on the country section. It's right there. A lot of people know me from Godhead, which is, a real kind of melodic industrial band. But, I worked with bands like, I worked with Marilyn Manson, Evanescence, toured with bands like Linkin Park, Rammstein, Disturbed. So everyone's like, why are you doing country music? Well, I grew up, first of all, it's a real rockin' version of country. People can judge it for themselves, that's fine. And I grew up in Virginia, and when I write songs by myself, country is kind of what comes out. And then I went to Nashville a bunch of times and wrote with a bunch of country songwriters down there, and this is what comes out. So, I've gotten really great response to it, and it's currently number 63 on the country music charts, country music radio charts, which is pretty exciting, my current single. And it's out, so check it out. It's called Natural Born Killer. That's all I can say. And if you want an autographed copy, you can order it off my website, which is jasoncharlesmiller.com.
Now it's funny. So many people will tell me that they're not too into the twang of country, so they dismiss it. But I think that's such a
Right.
shame. You know what I'm saying?
Now, you know what? Honestly, country music is America's music. It's really the only pure music that that originated in America. And there's, as an American, there's a little red, white, and blue heart inside of me that is proud of that and is proud to play country music. And it's really been great because I've as a solo artist now, I've opened for Toby Keith, Eric Church, Gary Allen. Next week I'm actually opening for Alan Jackson. So it's been a really great experience for me, and one I plan on continuing to do for a long time.
Well, now, is it kind of interesting to see? I don't want to, put a separation on your fans, but to see sort of the fans who are like adore your voice work, get into your music or vice versa.
Well, I mean, I think that if you're a fan of anime or video games or voice actors, I think that sort of runs the gamut of the style of music that you like. I know a lot of hardcore anime fans tend to like J-pop because a lot of that is prominent in anime. So if you're hearing that all the time when you're watching anime, you're kind of going to be a fan of the music, and I totally get that. But I think that more and more, now, if you want to explore a style of music, everything is just one click away. And I think that people's tastes have widened uh, exponentially, as opposed to I'm not that old, but when I was a kid, if you kind of had to pick the style of music that you wanted to listen to, because unless someone made you a mixtape, or burned you a CD or something, you kind of had to. It was really hard to sort of investigate without someone turning it on to you. And now, like I said, if you want to learn the whole history of metal, you can just go to Wikipedia and read it, and then go to Spotify and listen to it. Whereas before you kind of had to sort of go your own way, and I think that's a good thing for people, like learning to expand their musical horizons.
Definitely. And now for the listeners out there, I know that they can grab it off of iTunes and they can get a physical CD from your website. There's also Amazon as well, I believe.
Yep.
Is there any place else? Did we not cover all of our bases?
I think we're good there. I mean, I know it's on Spotify as well if you want to listen to it, if you have a Spotify account. Um, Probably Rhapsody, although I didn't check. So I think we're good. It will be in some select stores. I'm going out on tour again in September, and it will probably be in stores leading up to the cities that I'm in there, mainly in the Midwest. But physical CDs are kind of an interesting thing now, because iTunes is the number one music store now in America. Like, more people get their music from iTunes than from Walmart or Target or Best Buy. And if you've been to any of those stores lately, you notice that the music sections are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's harder to get them to carry your CD unless you're in the top 30 or whatever. But I'm getting way too detailed on that. Anyway, if you want a CD, just order it from the website and we'll be good.
All right. Is there any
Or at my
place,
show.
yeah, is there any place where fans can, any events coming up soon that they can, stalk you and give you hugs and things like that without being too creepy?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to Comic-Con this weekend, and then I have a show right across the street from Comic-Con at a club called The Stage next Sunday, July 15th. I'm going on at 7. And then Friday, July 20th, back in Los Angeles, I'm playing at the Greek Theater, the legendary Greek Theater, opening for Alan Jackson. And then I'll have some August dates that I'm negotiating right now that will be posted on my website soon, and my Facebook and Twitter and everything else.
Now, for the fans out there, what are your Facebook and Twitter? Because, nowadays people are so connected on social media, so we have to know.
Yes. My Facebook is really easy. It's my name, Jason Charles Miller, so it's facebook.com/Jason Charles Miller. And my Twitter, I couldn't fit my entire name on there, so it's Jason C. Miller, which I get credited for as an actor a lot of times anyway. So Jason C. Miller is my Twitter.
And now, are there any other projects that you want the listeners to know about? Anything you're working on that you can talk about, or anything that recently came out that you want to promote and you want them to be aware of?
Yeah, actually, I just did a duet with Felicia Day. A lot of video game fans will probably know who she is. She wrote and produced and created The Guild, which a lot of people love, and I love that show. And I co-wrote and co-produced a song for The Guild 2 years ago called Game On, which starred the cast of it. And then Felicia launched her own channel it's like not even really a partnership with YouTube, but YouTube is funding it. YouTube launched these new channels this year, and they actually gave her a channel that was funded by them, which is pretty exciting. She has a weekly show called The Flog, and
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Hey, let's write some songs for it." I was like, "Absolutely!" So we did this really funny, tongue-in-cheek. Let me say again, it's tongue-in-cheek country song called "Gamer Girl Country Boy," and we did a video for it. And you can just go to YouTube and search "Gamer Girl Country Boy," and it'll come right up. And it's just a really humorous story about a country boy driving down the street, and he sees a girl's car broken down, and the girl happens to be cosplayed as Laura Croft. So he doesn't know this, of course, because he's not familiar with games at all. So he just thinks she's this badass chick with guns on her hips, you know. And so the crazy song and video ensues from there, and you can check it out. And we're definitely playing roles and playing characters in this video, even though a lot of people think that we're not, but we are. So most people get the joke. A couple of people got really angry with it, but I guess controversy is good.
Well, and at the same time, the internet, it can be a battlefield.
Right, absolutely. And then another thing is I'm actually a pretty major character in Guild Wars 2, which is coming out August 28th. Not really allowed to say who my character is yet, but I can say that I'm in it and that I'm a major character. But other than that, you're going to have to wait till August 28th, and then all will be revealed.
Well, obviously, we can keep up to date on your website, your Facebook, and your Twitter.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Now, since we're nearing the end of this interview, I was wondering if you'd like to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Oh, God. Why didn't anyone warn me about this? Okay.
Because we're mean. We're horribly mean.
You were willing. This interview's been terrible. You're so mean.
But basically, we ask if you'd be willing to do a radio bump for us.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Awesome. The trick of it, though, is that we do the takes live on air. So if you mess up, everybody hears it.
Oh, God. Okay.
We basically ask if you could say, hello, my name is, you insert your name. I do this. You can say you're a musician. You can plug your website. You can say you're an actor. Whatever you want to put there. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
All right. You ready?
Yes, I'm completely ready whenever you are.
Hi, this is Jason Charles Miller. I'm a voice actor, a musician, a songwriter, and you're listening to 91.8 The Fan.
Look at that. That wasn't hard at all. I see how it is. You're a pro. I think you practice.
I'm no pro at those. I've toured for 15 years, and I've been to every radio station in the country probably doing those. So I gotcha.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there? Any farewell messages you have for them?
Well, if anyone's going to Comic-Con, I'm sure there's some people there. I'm just going to be walking around. I'm going to different panels and parties, so come up and say hi and come to my show on Sunday. That'll be fun.
Awesome. And thank you for this. This was a lot of fun. You were a great guest to have on the show.
Oh, thank you very much. You're a great host.
Aw. And for anybody out there that missed any of this interview, don't fret. You can find it on the website within the next few days, so keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com and your ears tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Up next is Kara with Jet Coaster Love.